questions right at the end. Now, the word purpose has been used more recently by in all kinds of places. You find this word purpose, you find the word meaning, and so on. What exactly is this business of purpose? The dictionary definition says a purpose is for which something exists. What is the purpose of a phone? What is the purpose of a water bottle? We are very clear about all those things. But what is the purpose of Ramesh? We don't know, right? What is the purpose? What is the trip? What is that I'm going to be doing in this life? That is really the purpose for which something exists. Purpose is also about a sense of resolve or determination. Having an objective, having a goal, having an intention. Where do I want to go? Why do I want to go there? All those elements come into purpose. But we want to provide some more clarity on what purpose is. Simon Sinek talks about this. All of us know what is that we do. If you ask anybody, what are you doing? Everybody can say, don't you know, this is what I'm doing. Many of us know how something should be done. We have the skills, the competence, or how something has to be done. Many of us know that. The one question we don't ask ourselves that often is, why do I do it? Right? Starting from simple things. Okay, it's a form of questioning at all points in time. Okay, we take off the slippers as we enter a house. Why do I do it? Even asking those questions. Okay, why do I do this? Why do I do this? The why, continuously asking the question why and getting that particular answer. When you take that to a higher level of questioning using the why, it will lead us closer and closer to what our purpose is. So purpose really is the why. It is not the what. I am a teacher. I teach school children. Not my purpose, because that's a what. I use a certain kind of pedagogy. I combine and integrate experiments with the teaching of the science subjects. That is the how. That is not the why. Why am I a teacher? Why is that I want to be a teacher? Why? So asking that question. So take every aspect and ask the question why. Sometimes asking the question 2-3 times is a good idea. To ask the question why, we'll get a first level answer and then ask the question why on that particular answer. I want to buy a new car. Why? It'll be convenient for me to go to work. Why should that convenience matter? Because then I can come back home early or be more productive. Why is it important to be productive? So ask the question in layers. Ask it in 3 or 4 layers. Normally they say 5 whys will take you to what is your purpose in life, but that's more of a, whatever. I mean, it's not like a scientific idea or something like that. It's just something which is there in popular literature. That's about it. Another element of purpose is it is usually bigger and beyond us. Okay. In the case of teacher, your natural profession itself takes you in a direction of something which is bigger and beyond you. Okay. Many professions are not lucky enough to be in that particular slot where what you're working on and how you're working on is naturally outward focused, because we are working with children or with college graduates and so on. Purpose is usually bigger and beyond us, and it's outward focused. Right? So a purpose cannot be a small thing. I want to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. That's not my purpose. That's just a part which I want to make into a habit. That's all. It's not a purpose. Okay, a purpose is usually something which is bigger and beyond us, and it's usually outward focused. Okay, and if we can put it as saying it is something the world needs. Nothing very bombastic about it. It's something the society needs, or something which is a requirement of somebody else, and not my own, but it's a requirement of a society or a group or any of those things. Ultimately, purpose is why you believe you exist. The very reason I exist in this world, I have a purpose. And what is that purpose? Why do I even exist? And asking that question and getting to our purpose is really what it is. Each person has a purpose. And it's just a matter of introspecting, reflecting, asking those questions honestly, diligently, honestly, repeatedly, and then we will get to what our purpose is. And it's not that the purpose cannot change. The purpose can change, but usually purpose doesn't change every 3 weeks or 3 months either. A purpose kind of stays more or less the same for a few years. The last bit is this thing about what is, this is more a thought experiment. You might want to do this thought experiment. It's best done when we are sitting face to face. Hopefully, post COVID, we'll sit face to face sometime. For sitting face to face and going through this little exercise, the exercise is this. Okay, suddenly tomorrow morning or later tonight, there's a genie who comes up and says, listen, you have a boon. I'm willing to grant you a boon. Now, there are a few conditions around the boon. Apart from the usual boon conditions, which is you can't ask for more boons, you can't ask for immortality, and so on. Those are the standard boon conditions. But other than that, it says, whatever boon you ask for, it will come true, but at that moment, you will die. If you ask for a very large, beautiful house, or you ask for a very fancy car, or you ask for a holiday, it will come true and you'll die immediately after that. Try and do this thought experiment and try and find out what is that you would like to ask for. Whatever you ask for will come true immediately, but the moment it comes true, okay, as in the moment it will come true, the moment you ask for it, you're going to die. The reason for this thought experiment is this. If it is something which you're willing to die for, it is so important that you're willing to die for that, then shouldn't we make that our purpose in life and say, this is what I will live for? If there is something I'm even saying, if that comes true, I'm willing to die. I'm willing to give myself up if that were to come true, then shouldn't we come back and say that if that is what I'm willing to die for, then shouldn't I be living for that? Okay, there are many different exercises, many different ways one can find a purpose, and it takes time to find purpose. We have to go through many rounds of reflection, many rounds of asking the question, why? Okay, that is as far as purpose is concerned. Now, this is what I want. This is why I exist. This is what I would like to happen. That's fine. But am I competent in making that happen? Will I love, if I were to make that happen, will my journey be joyous when I go through that? That is this concept of flow. Flow is a concept which was developed by a positive psychologist. He's a psychologist, a positive psychologist. His name is Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. It's a mouthful. So Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, what he says is, think of it as a matrix or a grid. On one side is the level of challenge, how much you will enjoy doing something. It's a really nice, challenging work I have, or is it a bit of a low challenge, which is a bit drabish? The second one is, how competent am I to do something? Now, if we find something which is in the bottom left quadrant, where I really don't have the ability to do it, nor is it challenging, so I can easily do it. It's quite an easy sort of a thing to do. There, we are unlikely to get the right amount of commitment within ourselves, and it leads us into a zone which is called apathy, the bottom left. And as as the challenge increases, then we are not competent to do that, but we are given a task which is far more difficult for us to do. It gets us into a worry, and if it's way too much of a challenge, it gets us into anxiety. In the other axis, where the level of challenge is very, very low, if somebody is asking us, just take all these papers and put it in the file, it's a very low level of challenge, right? Initially, it might be a tad exciting. If you're a 10-year-old or a 12-year-old, it might be a bit exciting to arrange everything and all that. So it will be, not so great, but from apathy, we will go into saying, okay, I have to still do it. It's a boredom we get into. And after some time, if that is what our triple life is, it gets into relaxation, not in a good way. It's relaxation in the sense it's a boredom extension of it. It's a very large permanent boredom. And boredom, by the way, when we come to stress management, we'll talk about it, is the largest stressor. Boredom is a very, very, very important contributor to stress. Okay. Boredom is a place nobody wants to be and nobody should be. Then what are those three little triangles, or two triangles and one quadrilateral, just to be precise? What are those three things is when our ability is medium and the kind of challenge we are provided is high, which is this zone, it leads us into what is called arousal. And this area is what is called control, and where we are just loving every moment. The challenge is so wonderful. We are climbing, we are very competent in trekking, and we are climbing a mountain which is like 18,000 feet. Okay, the level of challenge is awesome. I'm just loving it. It's draining me out physically, but I'm just loving every moment of what is happening. Okay, and I'm competent to do that, and that is flow. Okay, the reason he chose the word flow is because it's a genuinely satisfying experience where time just simply suspends. We are so highly focused. We are so highly involved in whatever we are doing. So it feels like it just flows. It is coming naturally to us. Right? It's a kind of task, it's a kind of job which is quite difficult, but we are very competent in doing that, and we are enjoying the opportunity to take up that level of challenge, and we are loving every moment of it. So flow will naturally have these elements. I'll be loving what I'm doing, it will be maximizing my competence, and time will just pass very, very quickly. Okay, it completely suspends. So it's really about what is that I'm good at and marrying that with what I really love. Now, purpose was about what the world needs. Flow is about what am I good at, what is that I really love. Imagine this: if I'm able to come up with a purpose, if I'm able to come up with a purpose where it is something I love to do, I enjoy every moment of doing that, and I'm actually very competent in doing that. It is my larger purpose. It is an outward focused idea. It is my larger purpose, and I love doing something in towards that particular purpose, and I'm really good at what I'm doing in that particular thing. Imagine marrying those three: what I love, what I'm good at, and what the world needs. If you're able to marry the three, okay, we've got very, very, very close to an extremely fulfilling life. If you're able to marry those three: what I'm good at, what I love, and what the world needs. Right? What the world needs what I'm good at, and what I love to do. Those are the three elements. Of course, we also need to be thinking a bit, depending on our stage and state in life. We also have to be thinking about saying that, will it also pay? And pay doesn't have to be thought of in terms of just dollars and cents. It is, will it pay in terms of a tangible or an intangible benefit? So if I can bring all those things, the first three are the crucial things: what the world needs, what is that I'm good at, what is that I love to do. And then if that activity can also keep me financially viable, if that activity can also feed me, or it is able to provide me an intangible benefit in terms of pay, then I've got myself into a very, very important place, which has become quite popular in recent times. Is a Japanese concept called Ikigai. Ikigai, okay, it's pronounced as Ikigai, like a here. Ikigai is a Japanese concept that means a reason for being. It's about having a direction, it's about having a purpose that makes our life worthwhile. It makes it work us towards a goal, and there is a certain amount of spontaneity, there's an element of flow, there is an element of purpose, and all of those things is there in Ikigai integrated. The place where all these four things come together: what the world needs, what I'm good at, what I love to do, and the tangible and the intangible benefits, is the place where all of those things come together, is called the Ikigai. Now, we can go on and on about Ikigai. Just a couple of words about it. Ikigai has been around for a long time. It's a bit like any old philosophy. It's been around for a very, very long period of time. But what they found was there are some pockets in the world where people are far more cheerful, optimistic, and they live for a very long period of time. They're very purposeful, they're driven and full of energy and all of that. Then people went and I tried to understand, saying that what is that which is happening with these people? One thing they found was, in terms of the exercise and nutrition, they had a very different quality of exercise and nutrition, which is fine. But then when it came to the software, when it came to the mind, what they realized in the case of Okinawa, where people live up to, I think, for 94 years or something was the average life expectancy, or maybe more, in a small little island called Okinawa in Japan, where they found was they were in that Ikigai. The Ikigai has a strong correlation to a happy and a long life, not just surviving and living up to 95 and 98 and 100. It's about having that fullness of life. It's about having that wholesome experience. Of course, there are elements to it. There are elements like the quality of relationships, which we will talk about a bit later. Okay. All of those things are there in Ikigai. So Ikigai, in a nutshell, is this busy slide. Okay. So don't necessarily focus on every little segment which is there inside this. It's a tad busy. Okay. It's a concept which means, what is my reason for being? So what we are good at, what we love, what the world needs, and what will pay, the place where all the four come together right in the center is Ikigai. We could have two of those and not the third or the fourth. Okay, I'm good at something, I love doing that, but it's not really something which the world needs. In my specific case, it could be something like solving puzzles. At any time in the day, if somebody posts a puzzle on any WhatsApp group, I'm immediately distracted and I start solving it. Okay, it is something I'm fairly good at. It's something I love. Okay, and that's my passion. Solving puzzles will keep me in a state of flow. But being in a state of flow is not the only objective. We have to marry that with our why. Why is that I exist? What is my raison d'etre? The reason for being. And that, if I have to marry, then I have to get into what is that the world needs. Because if you integrate that, then we get into that particular segment, which is about delight and fullness. And then the tangible, intangible benefits and everything else. So if you're able to integrate that, okay, if I'm good at something and it pays me, only those two elements are there and nothing else. That's a profession. That's just a job. Okay. In the job, if I can add an element of what I really love, if I can add that element of what I really love, then I can make it richer. If I can add an element of what the world needs, then I can make it a full, whole, rich experience of Ikigai. Now, in each of our lives, we won't be at Ikigai at all points in time. But if we know those four levers, we can immediately readjust those levers in such a way and say that, can I make it a bit more outward focused and create greater purpose in my life? Can I learn this a bit better and increase my competence and be good at what I'm doing? Can I start enjoying what I'm doing or do something which I truly enjoy? If I can integrate all of those things, so I know the levers now, and I can slowly move those levers, get closer and closer and closer to Ikigai. And Ikigai gets us into that full, whole, satisfying, all of those things. Now, the concept of Ikigai is not like a one standalone concept. It is there in every literature. Right? In the case of Martin Seligman, we will talk about later, he will talk about something called the PERMA model. Okay. In Bhagavad Gita, we will talk about something called the Satvika Karma and how it is, what are the types of things, what is Karma Yoga, we can talk about that. Simon Sinek will talk about the what, why, how, and all of that. Ikigai will talk about these four elements. This is just to illustrate the point of saying that it doesn't matter what we think. So as long as we know that we have to marry those things, what I'm good at, what the world needs, and what I love to do, if I can marry those three things, then we create a greater fulfilling life. And a fulfilling life is also directly correlated with much better longevity and mental health. All right. So that is where I stop. It's taken me 61 minutes. Now